A warm welcome to all our visitors today. We hope you enjoyed today's meeting. We have one that I'm looking forward to being introduced soon. So if you want to learn more about it, you can talk to Ricky, Steve McCoy Thompson, which is where's Steve? Right over here. Membership folks or myself. I want to thank our greeter today, Kurt Gregory, also Jim Golseth for doing attendance, Dennis Clare for being the treasurer, and of course, the wonderful Ricky Walters for setting up all the audiovisual. Thank you, Ricky. Most importantly, I want to thank Larry Annis for taking care of our meeting last week. Larry, you know, when they call, when you get a gift you don't want, you hand it to someone that you needs a gift. There you go. That's a re-gift. There you go. Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Well, sorry. You can re-gift it to someone. Okay, so please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Randy, would you mind starting us out?
I'd be glad to. Address the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Figured out what it did last. Right? You said address the flag, you put it around yourself as a cross.
Yeah. We're pausing. So we're back recording, Mike, so be careful. Okay. All right. So we now have We Care in Happy Dollars. I'll take care of this. Does anybody have anything they'd like to announce that's good? And so
That's all we needed, that one soundbite.
the next part of this story, we not
So the condo looked like a crime scene. I mean, it looked like there's blood on the walls of the car. We had to demolish the whole, we had to take it down to the studs. We had to remodel the whole thing. And so I was going down to Bakersfield to meet contractors. So one day I was there about lunchtime and I thought, I'm gonna call David, see if he wants to go to lunch. So I call him up. And I go, hey, David, this is Matt DePredis, the guy who kicked you out of your house. And he's like, what do you want? And I said, I want to see if you want to go to lunch with me. And there's just silence, you know. And then I go, I'll take you anywhere you want to go. I'm buying. And he's like, okay, meet me on this corner in 15 minutes. So I'm driving to this corner and all of a sudden I'm thinking, maybe this is not such a good idea. You know, and maybe maybe I'm gonna get hurt today because this bad dude, kind of messed up. So I pick him up and he says, yeah, let's go to this restaurant. And it was a nicer restaurant. And we walk in the door together and everyone in the place turns around and looks at us. And I'm realizing, oh, we look so opposite. I'm this tall, good-looking guy. And I can't just imagine. He was not, a chain hanging off his pants. He was just a guy who just not looked like it. Anyway, so we walk into the restaurant, we sit down, and we start having lunch. And I say, hey, where are you from? Like, how'd you grow up? Like, who are your parents? And we start talking. We talked for 2 hours. We were like old buddies catching up. He had so many cool stories. He was a great musician. At one time, he played with some great jazz artists. He actually played on the Tonight Show at one point. He knew some movie stars. I don't know if that's a big deal, but he was adopted. His adoption dad died. He grew up with a single mom. He had to take care of her. That's why he had to kind of get tough. Anyway, I drop him off and I'm driving back to Pleasanton and I'm just thinking, everybody has cool stories. Every human being, we're all on this journey on Earth. We all have great stories. We just need to get to know each other. And so if anyone wants to go to lunch with me, I'm happy to hear your story.
well done, Matt. Yeah, it's like I think it was long enough for our program, but that was great, man. I really appreciate that. Now it's time to welcome any visiting Rotarians. Do we have any visiting Rotarians here today? Well, not yet. He will be soon. I don't see our usual guest. So we'll move on. How about guests of Rotarians? Go ahead, Seema.
He's a long-time Pleasanton resident and retired from Lockheed Martin. He's very interested in joining Rotary. He wants to learn different things about what Rotary does and how he can be helpful. So I'll let him speak for himself.
So, as Seema said, longtime Pleasant resident, moved here in '89. Have raised 3 children here in town, Amador, Pleasant Middle School, Vintage Hills. And now that I'm retired from Lockheed, I've got a little more time on my hands. I'll have to make that horrible commute to Sunnyvale anymore. And so thinking about what can I give back to this community, having lived here for so long. And I really love Pleasanton. I spent the last 1.5 years after my late wife passed, trying to figure out what was I gonna do with my life? Where am I gonna go? What's my mission? What am I doing? So this is one of the things that my girlfriend here in Carla suggested that I come and meet you guys and see what you're about.
Welcome. Welcome. You picked the right place. Yeah. Nice to meet you, Richard. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Seema, for bringing him along. We have some more guests. Yes. Bill.
President Steve, Rotarians and guests, this is my friend Roger Emmett. We've been best buddies for like over 30 years. He's a retired general contractor, lives in town, and he owns a bunch of investment properties, but he manages with an LLC and anything else.
So like Bill said, we've been really close best friends for a very long time. I see what Bill does for the community, and I've always been really proud of him, and my life settled down finally to the point where I could commit to joining Rotary. My grandfather was in Rotary back in the 70s, maybe the 60s, and I went on some of the front rows and trains back in the day. But so anyway, I thought it'd be time for me to keep you guys, if I can pass this activity.
We'll sneak you in the back door.
Take us both. He already put in his app.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Well, welcome back. Good to see you again. Thank you, Bill. We look forward to having you officially join our club. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Do we have any other people? Oh, look who's on Zoom. Julie Lewis. Hello, Julie. How are you?
Hi, well, I'm getting better. I'm doing well now. I went to LA and for New Year's and brought back some unwelcomed guests with me. So I'm staying at home and taking care of myself.
Well, good. You look great. You don't look like you have bad guests or but, that's good.
Well, I'll just say I have one more day of quarantine.
Oh, okay, right. Well, good to see you. And we'll see you soon. I have been requested to bring up the Larry and Dick show one more time. So Larry and Dick, yeah, come on up. Hurry up, guys. We're running behind schedule.
I guess I'm the dick.
No comment.
No doubt.
First off, everybody, I want to thank you all of those who donated to wheelchairs last meeting. Thank you so much. Because of that, we are now ready to go for another container. So as soon as we get that money in, we'll be 3 containers deep in our ability to deliver wheelchairs. As I think most of you know, Larry, come on up. I think most of you know, we just finished the distribution in Argentina, and when we come back from places like that, we like to honor our president with some fantastic gifts. And we, we've had a lot of these made up special. We've had a lot of these made up special. And so without further ado, I want to Steve, just a second.
Okay, all right.
Just a second.
All right, just a second.
There's I think there's only one of these that was made that we were able to find. So this you've never seen one of these before, probably. That's SILSA. That's the organization that we worked with in Argentina. They're a nonprofit. See that?
Yeah.
And just so that Lori and you can drink at the same time, we spared no expense.
It's almost Steve Wild Day,
Exactly, my sentiment exactly.
Okay.
So enjoy those. Yeah, that's something.
Special in there.
That is a keychain from Rosarito. Rosarito is one of the communities that we distributed, I think, 80 wheelchairs in that community.
Can you see him?
Yeah, test it out. Give it a shot.
Thank you.
And Larry, you've got some things there too?
Yes, before I forget, the Rosarita, we were told this a dozen times, if we were told once. Rosarita is the hometown of the soccer player Messi. So we were told that by every person we met.
And my grandson.
And his grandson.
Anyway,
Yeah, well, that,
Okay, guys.
so, yes, there is, we want to give. So we want to give something other than the two nice, coffee mugs. Yeah, so we thought we'd give you this. Yeah, so this is the fastest regifting you've ever seen. Yeah, but sincerely, Steve, we want to give you this instead. Okay, it's a real nice notepad, yeah. Yeah. And here's your Spanish tutorial here, is in this particular book here. And and this is the SILSA guide, this is the explanation of the governmental nonprofit or the nonprofit company that we work with, SILSA, very good organization. So I thought you'd like that.
about that, it's actually a handbook for how how you should operate the wheelchairs. And so any of the owners of the wheelchairs, that's a great document for people to use. And it's a document that Bill Wheeler, who was also on our trip, used to demonstrate the right way to utilize wheelchairs. And it's again, it's a.
Trying to find the snakes or something?
He's trying to find anything of value.
And, the last two things are very important and sincere, that to give to Dick Stafford, he does such a wonderful job coordinating this and subsequent wheelchairs. So Dick, I'd like you, Dick, to have the chocolate from Patagonia. So I hope you enjoy that, Dick. And most importantly, Dick and I took a pre-trip to Patagonia, to Calafate, and saw some glaciers. And Calafate is a natural plant from the area, and they make everything from Calafate, including liqueur. So Dick, I'd really like you to have this for doing such a great job on the wheelchair. Yeah, it's. So you
Just find this in the dirt.
we've been carrying it around for 2 months. There's been 2 months since we got back, and so anyway, it's. Yeah.
It wasn't always that.
Why did you give it to us?
We're regifting.
Oh, it's the faster regifting than I did. You're trying to show me up again, aren't you, Dick? That's a faster regifter than I am. Okay, anyway, congratulations and thank you for your support.
Oh, and once again, I really urge any of you and all of you that get the opportunity to go on one of these trips to go. It's a fantastic experience. You won't forget it. It will re-engage or re-energize you to be a part of the wheelchair program. And that's what we're trying to promote. Bill Wheeler, Dick Stafford, Larry Ennis. We're all in for wheelchairs, and we hope that you will be as well. Thank you all.
Thanks, Dick. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much. We like it. Yeah. So if you did get a chance to see the videos and the photos I sent on my email on Tuesday and Wednesday. Oh, I don't think I included on Wednesday. They're amazing, and you really get to see what it's like to play basketball in a wheelchair. I saw some of your shots. You need some practice, but anyway, it was really cool. So congratulations, you guys. What a great trip. No, it doesn't look easy at all. So that was really cool. Okay, so Bill Evans is going to come up and briefly talk about the poker tournament.
So, thank you for time. I'll be very brief. I know that we have limited minutes here.
April 26th will be our tournament this year. We moved it up into April from May. We're kicking off the poker meetings next Tuesday, Mike Fosterman's office at 5 p.m. I know a bunch of you in the room are part of that poker team, and we welcome you to join us again. Anybody who has any interest in being on the poker committee that was not in previous years, please see Ricky or myself after. We are the co-chairs this year on that. Anything you want to add, Ricky? That's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bill. Thank the committee. Well done. So next, I wanted to just remind everybody, you have a lot of contacts out there, nonprofits. Our community grant application process and ends at the end of January. From what I understand from our president of our foundation, Bill Evans, we only have a few applications that have been sent in. So get on the phone, email your friends that are looking for money. We're looking at somewhere a little bit over $20,000 that we'll be giving out this year. So it's a good opportunity for our nonprofits.
January 31st.
January 31st is the deadline to submit an application at midnight, not a second later. Okay, next, Ricky was going to talk very briefly about the club survey. Everybody fill out the survey, right?
Very briefly, okay, we did a survey at our last meeting in December. If you filled this out, you don't need to do it again. If you replied by email, you don't need to do it again, but if you have yet to do it, I've got a couple that I'll hand out today. Just raise your hand. So the survey basically was asking, how can we increase engagement in the club? How can we get more participation? One of the ideas that the board is considering in our board meeting next week is this following question. We're considering starting July 24th, so the next Rotary year, that you would have to buy a 10 punch lunch card, cost of $250 because it's $25 a lunch. And that way we're hoping to encourage people that don't show up as often, that they would use that throughout the year. It would expire at the end of the year. So the survey says we've had 46 people, 46 Rotarians respond, 36 support it, 5 don't support it, 5 are unsure, and we have 26 more Rotarians that still need to take our survey. So if you're one of those 26, raise your hand. I'll get you a survey right now and you can hopefully give it back to me today. Any questions, any thoughts? Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate that. Okay, next, Bill, I'll come to you unless you want to come up here. Easier to come to you. Bill said he had something to give me, which I always accept gifts. Thank you, Bill.
I do have a gift for you. That is, quite different since those that came from. I spent Christmas in Vietnam and New Year's in Bali. The last 5 days of after the cruise, so I spent in Singapore. And I hadn't been to Singapore for 35 years, and so it has really changed. We haven't been there recently. Now, in that gift bag, you'll find a marvelous, well-used map of Singapore and a glass. Now, the glass, of course, comes from Raffles. And if you haven't been to Raffles, you haven't had a Singapore sling. And that's the only reason that one really needs to go to Singapore. I need to apologize if it's only one. I started off with 2. But to make the long story short, she got a little upset about something and started throwing things that got broken. But I hope you'll be happy with that.
Very excited about this. Thank you so much.
And I do have a donation for our wash project.
Thank you, Dick. Would you like to take that for me? Bill? Bill? Thanks, Bill. And Bill, I will give this to anybody that is going to our international convention. I think Jim Hansen's supposed to be going to that, and I think the Harringtons are going, because unfortunately I won't be able to go, but that'll be a great map. So thank you so much, Bill, for thinking of me. Next, we have introduction of our speaker of the day. So hopefully you're all enjoying this wonderful Cabernet. So I'll invite Randy Brown up to introduce our speaker. I did. Yes, but you want to do that now?
You want to introduce your son?
I probably didn't see your hand.
I didn't know when you did it.
I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know.
Right, there are priorities in life. So my guest today, I'm so honored to have my number 4 son, Evan Schweigerly.
Thank you, Gary. And thank you, Steve. I'm excited for today. Have you ever heard of the ripple effect or the butterfly effect? Well, if you haven't, you should look it up. Today's speaker has had a profound effect on this club because of her leadership, and she probably has no idea. When my wife Lisa and I decided to move here in 2012, I immediately joined Rotary. We met a fellow Rotarian that asked Lisa to join her on a committee with the Livermore Valley Wine Growers Foundation to put on their annual gala. That is where we met Christine Wente. Lisa learned so much about putting on an event from Christine, leveraging relationships and resources, just to name a few.
Thank you.
Since then, we have used those skills to take our annual golf tournament that we no longer do, but we did then. We took it from a line item on the budget to making a profit. We took our poker tournament from making just a few $1,000s to now over $25,000. The effects from Christine turned into a substantial amount of monies raised and used for scholarships, purchasing wheelchairs, supporting Rotoplas, and now wash projects. A ripple effect far removed from Christine, but felt by people all around the world. Please help me welcome Christine Wente.
I think that was the best introduction I've ever had. Thank you. Most meaningful, and I'm catching a trend here. The other trend I've caught is that everyone in Rotary is a good speaker. Is that a requirement, or did you learn this on the job because it's working? And the wine, and speaking of the wine, there's more. Our table is not hogging it, we're just, have a source. So if anyone would like any more or a taste of our Charles Wetmore Cabernet from the Livermore Valley, Randy is our sommelier. Well, I loved all of the stories so far, and your story was particularly amazing, and it reminded me of a book, so I had to look up the book. I love book recommendations. I haven't read this one yet, but it reminds me of your story and of everything I've heard. Maybe some of you have read it or have, heard about it. David Brooks, a well-known writer, How to Know a Person. And he talks about conversations and just, we need more of those. So good job. So I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and our company. And I know you all are involved local residents, so you know a lot about a lot of things, especially Livermore Valley wine country. And then my theme today is sustainability, which I think really applies. I'm super enjoying all of the Rotary themes. So just so you know who's talking to you, and I have friends here. My name is Christine Wente. I'm 5th generation in our family in the Livermore Valley. I work with my whole family, my father, my aunt, my uncle, my brother, and 4 cousins so far. So we're very much a family business since 1883. All of our wines are estate grown in the Livermore Valley. Some of you live there, some of you have vineyards, you visited us. And I just thought this was a good choice. I almost brought a white wine today, but it was so cold and sort of wintry that I thought we're just gonna have a big red, even though it's lunchtime. So something to warm you up. So I hope you're enjoying it. Many of you probably know, but it's just fun to share again in case you don't, because it's cool local history just to ground us in the history before we get to the present and sustainability. Our winery was started in 1883 by my great-great-grandfather. I also love the history here of some grandfathers being in this club. And then he basically immigrated from Germany, wasn't going to inherit a thing. It was an American story, go get it. And so he came across the country. He spoke German as his primary language. So he learned how to make wine from Charles Krug in the Napa Valley. And then he came to the Livermore Valley and bought 48 acres. And we've been here ever since. So it's a great American story. We're very proud of it. He had 7 children in the 2nd generation. back in the day when the boys went into the business and the girls stayed around and hopefully married well. Two of the sons went into the business. The third son went into banking. He decided he didn't want to be in agriculture. But of the two sons, that one of them was my great grandfather and had one child, and the other brother didn't have any children. So it went back to just my grandfather. And that's why the company was called Wente Brothers, because those two brothers basically bought the company from their parents. And then my grandfather, who died way too young in 1977, and then my dad, aunt, and uncle, Eric, Phil, Carolyn, you probably know them, took over the business in the 70s, and then we've all been rolling in behind them. So my background is sales and marketing and the community. So I'd like to hear about these ripple effects, because that's what it's all about, right? And so the main thing I wanted to touch on today is sustainability. And that's our way of saying, do good and have fun. I love that so much. It really is. It's our do good part. And I think it makes things more fun. And we try to do good and make great wine. That might be our new. This is helpful. Yeah, have that. And I'll be careful with time too. Want to leave time for questions and also just interaction. But in terms of how we define sustainability in the wine industry, we define it as financial or economic. You have to stay in business in order to continue doing good and having fun and making great wine. And so you have to make long-term decisions. And then the other two pillars are social and environmental. And I'm actually going to flip my script today and talk about social first, because it really resonates here with everyone else's work. And I made myself a list that's way too long. So I'm just going to touch on a few things. And then I would like at the end just to loop back to things that you all are interested in and mostly questions. But in terms of social sustainability, and this is an industry-wide definition for the wine industry, and we were one of the first to be certified. We can put it on our label, and we got a big award from the industry last year for doing this, so it's real. And we think of it both internally in terms of our team and externally in terms of the community. So we're constantly just trying to be a better employer, starting internally. Basic things like paid parent leave, moms and dads, and continuing to evolve. We even have a mental health benefit. It's kind of cool. And it's all, of course, anonymous, but I hear it actually gets used. It's like you can dial in for free therapy. We all need that these days, right? We have volunteer time off, which is super cool, where everyone gets a day, a year, in addition to all the other time off to go volunteer either with their team or just in school. We encourage it. I love those. Those are my favorite days. Like we'll garden at Maryland Avenue School, or, we've done lots of different things, work with the food bank. We have a huge focus on safety. That's another important, I know, for the business owners here, an important part of our culture. We have a foundation, the Wente Foundation for Arts Education, that we're actually refocusing, not the Livermore Valley Wine Auction. I keep looking at Bill because he's such a good supporter. But our foundation, we have for about a decade given grants to local arts education programs, and we're actually shifting the focus to be a little more internally focused. We're going to do scholarships for employees and family members for education and enrichment. I'm really excited about it. It's sort of similar theme, but a little closer to home. And we're actually going to work with Three Valleys Community Foundation to get that going. So it'll have to be administered by them. Another great local community foundation. Hopefully Steve has already pitched you. He's one of the founding board members. And we're so lucky to have Kelly Bowers as our CEO, another Rotarian. I don't know which group she usually goes to, Livermore maybe. She's fantastic and is working on developing this community foundation for our whole region. So those are just some of the things we do on the people side. And then in terms of environmental, the way I like to describe being a good, in that rotary sense of good wine grower, is you want the lightest touch possible on the land in order to make great wine. And fascinatingly, you can use technology to do that. It was such a light bulb for me a few years ago. You think high tech feels more like, you know, robotic or something, but you can actually have a lighter touch on the land when you use drones and sensors and heat maps and lots of data. So I thought it'd be fun to share on the environmental sustainability side, some of the cool things that we have going in the vineyards. Back to my list. So from the vineyard side, so we do no-till farming. So we don't churn up in between the rows because it keeps good nutrients in there. It keeps carbon in there. I'm just learning about this stuff and how that works. Scientists here can help us with that, but it's a good practice. We plant cover crops that attract beneficial insects. People are finally also realizing that monocultures in agriculture is not the way to go. You want to go back to how nature really is, with lots of plants and animals happily living together. And on that, we also have owl boxes and raptor perches. So cool. And we have a woman, and they go after the gophers and squirrels. And there's a woman who comes, you won't believe it, I think it's so cool, and actually lives on the property over on Mines Road near Myriad as well. For 3 months, every harvest season, she literally lives there with her falcons. She's a falconer.
Is that your wife, Mike?
Oh.
My wife's very good friend,
Jana.
Jana Barker.
There you go.
Sorry.
Coolest job. I don't know her very well. Apparently she's a cool person. Everyone likes having her there. And she will bring her, and she works long hours for this time period because we, you know, the grapes are ripe and they're sitting out there waiting for the blackbirds to go eat them. And that's our profit. Back to economic sustainability. Go away, blackbirds. So she brings the falconers out, the falcons, and they scare away the little black birds. And my cousin Nikki, who is our viticulturalist, says it increases our yield by like 20% or something. Isn't that amazing? Well, that one's an old fashioned example, but like back to nature. And then on the more high tech side, we're doing a pilot with irrigation valves that are remotely controlled and solar powered, and so we can turn them on and off in each block far away, like from the office, without having to go out there and turn the valve on and off. And they also monitor water usage. So we're trying to do a lot better job with that. You probably know that agriculture in California uses a lot of our water for good reason. I will never vilify a farmer. Don't ever vilify a farmer. But we growing food and wine use a lot of water, and the wine industry is really, really careful with it. And so that's one of the things we're doing, is trying to get more sophisticated with our valves. We're doing a big solar project at the Tesla winery. That's amazing. We just installed a brand new bottling line that's super high tech and low energy. We're doing a pilot with autonomous electric tractors. Monarch.
Yeah.
Monarch, yeah. Have you been working with them? Or
No, just watching them.
just watching? Yeah.
Watching them grow like a weed.
Yeah, fascinating. And so they are based in Fremont, I believe, and they were working with a small vineyard up in Napa. And then they found us and they thought, oh my goodness, you're much more convenient. You're open to innovation, and we have a great partnership. So we like to support up and coming technology, and they learn from us and we benefit from them. And then this is just interesting as you're out in the market buying wine. One of our impacts as an industry is packaging, like all products, and shipping. So we're trying to lighten up our glass. If you try to lift a case of wine, it's heavy. And so if, the lighter the product, the less energy it takes from human to trucks all the way through. So some of our glasses, our bottles are getting a little lighter. Those are some of the highlights. I have a long list, but I am going to pause for a minute. I did just want to kind of dabble across that topic of sustainability and just sort of pique your interest on the social side and on the environmental side. And I'm happy to dive deeper into any of those specific things you're interested in, and or the future of the Livermore Valley, wine growing. I can go lots of directions. So I would love to answer questions, or if someone even has a, tell us more about that, I'll go that direction. So I'll pause. Yes, sir.
So do you use pesticides on your grapes?
As little as possible.
So.
A little bit of sulfur for mildew and as little as possible. A great story on that. So my cousin, the whole industry is pushing as far as we can. We're, I would say, nearly organic, but it's too restrictive just in case. So we're sustainable. There's a new concept called regenerative, which sort of goes through that philosophy that I was talking about of just minimal impact. And that's what I would say we are. The other day, I was out in the vineyards with my cousin Nikki and a visitor from a winery in Paso Robles, because we were exchanging ideas. And my cousin Nikki has a brand new baby and a 2-year-old, and her little I called her out of maternity leave for this visit because it was going to get very technical. And I said, I need you, please come. So she brought the kids and I was holding the baby, and her little daughter, who's about 1.5 years, was, and this is the woman who runs viticulture, so she knows everything that goes on those vineyards, was basically playing around our feet, eating dirt. And I thought, there you go. The head of viticultural's toddler is eating the dirt. It made me feel great. Yes.
AI is a hot topic these days. It's a great benefit to the wine industry using artificial intelligence.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, it was a very good question. He said, is there any benefit to the wine industry using artificial intelligence? Yes, we're still figuring it out. I'm on the board also of the California Wine Institute that represents and advocates for the whole industry. And at our last meeting in June, the guest speaker was an AI expert to try to educate us. And the main thing that he said was collect your data. You might not know what you're going to do with it, but he just said, collect your data. Like, that's why we're trying to do it with water, with energy, with sugar levels, with yields. And we'll be able to hopefully just make better decisions. We're not doing anything crazy. And I think it's always going to be, it's agriculture. We need the land. So it's very grounding. I always think, thank goodness we produce something that is a food and a drink that people, it's physical. You can't AI your way out of wine. But we can use it around the edges to make, like winemakers won't be replaced, is what I was trying to say, but we can use it to make better decisions. Yes.
2 questions. One, some wineries are trying to get away from cork and going to screw caps. Is Wente doing that or looking at it? And the second question is, what, if any, private labeling does Wente do?
More good questions. So on closures, so we mostly have natural cork, like the Charles Wentworth Cabernet from the Livermore Valley. It's cork. We have a couple wines with twist tops, screw caps, same thing. Our Louis Mel Sauvignon Blanc that I almost brought for you today before I decided it was too cold out. And then our not Riva Ranch. Riva Ranch is in cork, but Morning Fog Chardonnay, our Livermore Valley Chardonnay. Those are the 2 Wente Vineyards labeled wines. And have a twist top, and everything else is in cork. Very conscious decision, and I am all for it. I even thought that the Louis Mel today, I thought, oh, that'd be so easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, we're done. But we do it for wines where we're not intending them to age, like that wouldn't benefit. I mean, they'll be fine for a few years in cork, but it's not usually an intention with Sauvignon Blanc or a fresh Chardonnay. That's the main reason. And because this Cabernet, for example, which is, about $35 retail Cabernet, as good as any Napa Cabernet you'll ever have, just you heard it here. I have a wine cellar at my house and I have put it away for years and it ages beautifully. And so cork is beneficial for that if you want to, we make our wines, we age them in the winery, ready to go, so that when you get it, it's perfect, but it's fun. I think it's fun to watch them change, and that's the benefit of cork. We've looked at, and probably more than you wanted to know, but we've looked at other types of closures and ruled them out. There aren't any other really great things on the market besides twist and cork, in our opinion, so far.
How about private label?
Oh, sorry, I really went on with closures. Private label, we do some, yes, for retailers and restaurants around the country. We have some private label, not too much, but a little bit. Just other brands that you might see. Yes.
Aren't corks sustainable because they don't take the tree down there? They just harvest it and then it grows back. How long does that take? And I mean, do you need to educate people on that it's not like a bad thing?
Yes, cork is sustainable because it's the bark of a cork tree, mostly grown in Portugal, I believe. And it's pretty cool. They just slice it off and then, make the corks and dry them out. And I think they're used because they're effective, because the industry has gotten better at making sure they're clean. When you hear corked, it means just there's some bacteria that was naturally in the bark that they didn't get out during the cleaning process, and that got into the wine. So that's real. But that's gotten a lot better. And it just works for the aging process. And lots of people do find it romantic, the whole process of opening the bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the wine.
Well,
Great. And also thank you for being part of the $3 Community Foundation from the very beginning. So that was great. Question is, are there labels for organic or sustainable, production that are universally used?
very good question. He asked about sustainable and organic, and there are other certifications too. Yes, and we are just starting to finally put sustainably grown on our front label. So some of our wines that are in the market now already have that. And I think this was, I have to check the vintage, but just labeled far enough ago, or labels were printed far enough ago, 2020, that we hadn't printed it on there yet, but we are starting that.
All right, two things. One is wine aged in bourbon and whiskey barrels. It's wonderful. And then Casa de Amora in just Calistoga has a late harvest muscat, and I have a muscat grape at home, and they have a taste.
Mhm.
I have their late harvest muscat, and it's like, oh my God, I taste the muscat grape. So you have late harvest, and how about the whiskey and bourbon barrels?
So we have, I'll do the reverse order. Late harvest, we occasionally make a late harvest Riesling from our vineyards in Monterey. We make a Riesling pretty much every year. That's just slightly sweet. It's beautiful. It's mostly sold through the tasting room. And then, as you know, it becomes late harvest when a fungus called botrytis grows on the grapes and makes them look awful and kind of shrivel up, but they lose some of their liquid, some of the water, but they retain their sugar. So you press them and it's really sweet and wonderful. So late harvest wines, I think, are wonderful, Muscat, Riesling. So we make that whenever the botrytis shows up. It's one of those like happy accidents. And then we don't use whiskey and bourbon barrels ourselves, but I can see why people do. I think it's interesting. We use oak made for wine, and not that it hasn't stored anything else, because the whiskey and the bourbon would impart some flavor. So ours are just brand new, with various toast levels, and we buy from mostly France and America, the Southeast, same where the whiskey barrels are from.
Christine, thanks for coming out today. We sure
Yeah.
appreciate it. Everybody always likes a little free wine.
It's my trump card.
Yeah, I have two questions that maybe not everybody knows about. I'm very fortunate to have been doing business with your family for over 40 years. And back in the day, it was like my first big kind of account in the 80s. And we used to drive Jean regularly, and she traveled the world, kind of accustomed to wine and doing everything else. And it's interesting that if you travel the world and you a lot of first class lobbies or hotels and planes, they're carrying your brand. And it's so interesting to see that there's our local little wine is there. But I'm also sure that everyone knows that you're also one of the largest exporters of wines from California. And then I'm sure everyone knows that you recently won, I think, an award recently, but.
Thanks, Bill. And it has been fun to work with you for many years. I've been lucky to be in many of your vehicles. And he's very supportive of the Livermore Valley wine auction. So bid on packages and you'll get to ride in black tie limousines.
Exportation.
Exportation. See, thanks, keep me focused. We export to about 50 countries around the world, and my father was one of the first to open a lot of export markets for American wines in the 70s and 80s, and my grandmother was involved also. So yes, lots of travel, and you will see our wines, you know, sometimes on planes. It's very fun to see, and around the world when you
Like
travel.
Japanese JAL Airlines in Tokyo, that's what there's their featured wine.
Yeah. Okay, it's time.
Well, we have maybe time for one more question. Al, Mark.
Yes.
Of course.
Hi, and thank you for the wine, lovely. I have bags of, not wanting to just throw them away. Other than craft products for kids, is there any kind of recyclable use for those corks?
How many corks we talking about?
I'm not gonna tell you.
You guys are so quick. Yes, and pre-COVID, we were doing a cork recycling program where people would bring corks into our tasting room and we would send them back to the cork supplier and they would remake them. I'm not, yes, super great. I don't know if we're doing it, but I would also say should probably just bring them. I'm sure we could figure it out. We need to restart that, I guess is the punchline. If we're not doing it, it just took, that's a great segue though. So we were, and we need to restart is the answer, and it's possible. And that is a great segue to visiting. Our tasting room is now on Arroyo Road where our restaurant was, and we've reimagined it. It's now wine and food pairing. It's lovely. You can come. It's best to make a reservation. You can also show up inside, outside, choose a flight, great team there, pour wines, have bites of food. So it's really pretty. So I hope you'll come visit soon.
Thank you so much.
Nice job.
Thank you, Christine.
Nice job.
And as president of the club, I'm gonna ask one question. I love live music, and went to several of your concerts when you used to have them in the little amphitheater there. Any thought of recreating that someday, or is it no? I know.
We're not, anytime soon planning to go back to the big full scale. We're not planning anytime soon to go back to the big full scale, big name, white tablecloth concerts. Just took a lot of focus away from making wine. Do good, make great wine. And so, but we are doing more casual concerts. They're really fun. So just keep an eye out for our communications or on the website, like cover bands, picnic style, really fun.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. We wish you could come every week. And all those wines you talked about, just bring them, Yeah, it's okay. Okay, thank you. Good. Moving along, we've got some really exciting upcoming events. Mike Osterman has told me that we are going to Alberto's next Thursday. Early start time, 4:30. Margaritas, cervezas, chips, salsa, and good time fellowship with everybody. So I hope to see you guys there. And on our next official lunch meeting on the 25th will be James Paxson will be our guest speaker. Everybody knows James, I think. He's been at Hacienda Business Park forever. He's an amazing speaker, and hopefully he'll give us a lot of positive feedback on what's going on there. Also district-wide, there's a meeting on Saturday. It's a mid-year reflection meeting. I'll be going to that representing us. And then we have our district conference in April, which you'll hear more about that. Also, I was asked by one of our members to talk a little bit about a crab feed coming up with the Lions Club. And hold on, I'm getting there. That is on March 16th from 5 to 9 at the fairgrounds. I have a flyer here if you're interested in some more crab. I mean, I think I've gotten 5 invites for crab feeds in the next couple of months. So anyway, if you love crab, you're gonna have fun. The other thing is I wanted to just mention a couple birthdays. I think Lee, you just celebrated one just a couple days ago. Happy belated birthday. Did you have a nice birthday? What'd you do?
So excited.
Are you celebrating? You had some Wente wine. All right, good. And then coming up, well, Bob's not here unfortunately, but Randy, you and Lisa, they're celebrating their 42-year anniversary at the end of the month on the 23rd.
At Wendy's.
All right. I hope you make it to the 23rd. Okay, no, I know you will. And also Randy's celebrating 18 years of being a member of our club on January, just yesterday was your 18-year anniversary. Did you know that? Okay. Good. Maybe you should donate some money to the club. No, oh, good. Well, anyway, that's all I have on that. Time for the opportunity drawing. Sorry, Dennis, you're sitting there. Did you fall asleep? Oh, yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Enjoying the presentation.
Okay, good. So, you want me to pick the winners? Okay. $29. Wow. 49, you said?
29.
Oh. I can't separate these guys. Okay, that's one, right? So we got last 4 digits, 4108. 4108. Oh, Bill, of course.
I would just give him the money.
Just give him the chip. Yeah. One more. We have 4111. Go back to Bill. No. Oh, Steve Thompson. Oh my God.
You gotta donate it, Steve, if you win.
Yeah, right. No pressure.
It's funny, because Steve almost didn't buy one. Almost.
And while he's picking out, Richard, I want to thank you for coming. We hope to see you again. Please let us know if you have any questions. And last but not least, I wanted you to know that unfortunately, one of our long-term members, Nancy Meyer, has decided to leave the club. She's been busy with her mother's health issues, and I think she's feeling a little under the weather, and so she has resigned from the club. She has been a member since 2006, 18 years with our club. So just wanted you to know that, and we are ready to adjourn the meeting.